All right. Another bike project coming at ya. No, but seriously, what I've decided to do, instead of sit and waste hours and hours dreaming of building a bike, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this bike apart and I'm going to spec it out completely as to what's on it, how much everything weighs, because I'm just a parts geek. I want to know exactly what every part of my bike weighs and where it came from, and if I can shave weight, how I can do it. Can I build performance? How can I change that? And what I happen to have is this older bike that I've had for several years now. Again, it's something I got from Bikes Direct. Bikes Direct sell their own build-ups with relatively, generally lower level components, slightly heavier frames. There are some good things about Bikes Direct bikes, and there are some bad things. This bike right here is called a Gravity Zilla. It's marketed as a monster cross bike. It's marketed as pretty much exactly what I want it to be. But what I found when I first bought it was that it was really quite heavy, like way heavier than I wanted it to be. But I never broke the bike down completely to find out where all that weight was. So I don't know if the weight is in its frame. I don't know if it's the fork. I don't know if it's the general addition of all the low-level components. Now, to be fair, I have moved things on and off this bike over the years to some extent, so this is not close to stock. So all I'm going to do is take an original mass of this bike as it is. So this is what it's like, oh God, riding around with this bike every day. So my big game of subtraction now begins. The bike, 33.2 pounds. Not crazy heavy, but heavy enough. 33.2 pounds, but I'm going to see now what each part weighs. So how I'm going to do it, I'm going to use this little digital kitchen scale for most of this stuff. So first things first, the saddlebag. How much does a saddlebag weigh? Which, by the way, it's got like, I think 2 inner tubes for these 700 by 38Cs. It's got a multi-tool. It's got tire wrenches, levers, patch kit. Yeah. So it's pretty chock full of just your standard sort of emergency tool bag. 737 grams for that. By the way, I've gotten pretty adept at going between pounds and kilograms for all this bike stuff, but basically, this bike weighed 33.2 pounds. The conversion from pounds to kilograms is basically divide the pounds by 2.2046, and some more decimals, but that's pretty good. So that puts this at just over 15 kilos, 15.059 kilograms. So 15 kilo bike. That bag, 1.5 pounds, 1.6 pounds. But from now on, I'm going to use just grams in all my weights, and then at the end, I'll do conversions into pounds. Okay, now it's time to mass out my rack. This is an Ibera pack rack. It's a pretty cool rack. It actually comes with a special bag that clamps on. To be honest, I found it to be less than amazing. The bag was heavy. But the rack itself is actually relatively light. I haven't massed it yet, and I just put a little pro tip for those of you putting stuff on and taking stuff off of a bike for the first few times. Like this rack has a few, it's bolts and stuff. It's made for a disc brake bike, so it's got some extenders. So put all the stuff in a little bag. You might even want to label it and tape it right on the unit so you don't lose your stuff. You might even want to take pictures of your before moments so that you know exactly what went where. 714.6 grams for the rack. Next up, fenders. Alright, so now the rear fender and the front fenders are off. I actually really like these fenders. Again, like I said, I haven't used them a great deal, but they're from a company called SKS Germany. I don't recall the name of the model, but you can see I had to actually bend the stays, the fender on the left side, the disc brake side of the front fork, and I had to do it a little bit on the rear, not as much because there was just more of a natural bend to it, but there was enough material that I could bend around the disc and kind of mold it for the exact geometry of the bike, which I really thought was cool. And they give you a bunch of like spacers and stuff for that. It was designed, I guess, to accommodate that disc kind of bulge. So the mounting bolt on the left side had a bunch of like spacers and stuff. So I filled that in. So let me get a quick mass on this. Then I'll get a mass for the whole front and rear set. Front fender, 310 grams. 310.6, 310. It adds up perfectly. 665 grams for the fender set. Yeah, again, 1.46, 1.47 pounds for a fender set. So if you're looking for good high quality fenders for adding £1.50 to your bike, you can't. You could do a lot worse than these. These are nice. They're good quality. SKS Germany. I think what I'll do, just for the fun of it, I'll do all the peripherals. So I'll get the bottle cage off. I'll get the pump, the frame pump off of there. Ibera Sidewinder bottle cage with its mounts, 36.5 grams. Topeak, I'm not sure, pocket rocket, I believe. Pump with its little binder, and a little bit of duct tape, just because I have extra duct tape to fix anything that happens on the road. 119.5 for the Topeak pocket rocket. Okay, that's everything peripheral to the bike off. So now what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to attack the wheels, because that's one of the things I'm most curious about, the fork, and I'm most curious about the wheel set. So I may not take the entire bike apart, but I think eventually I want to, because I want the actual frame mass, because what I'm looking at online is frames and the masses of frames. So I think if I really want to do a true comparison, I've got to strip this completely.